Welcome to another episode, everyone. A skinhead shot caller talks white supremacy and federal prison killings. This individual here, he's on a YouTube channel called The Connect. Johnny Mitchell or something, The Connect. Johnny also did time in prison. This interview went on for 2 hours and 16 minutes. He has a lot to say, clearly. He talks about white supremacy early on and the different factions of white supremacy, how it all started, and how he became an extremist himself. And he's not denouncing extremism. He still is a white supremacist, a skinhead, and he was a skinhead shot caller in California prison. And let's get into it and see what he has to say. I'm starting a little bit early on, but he's about to start talking about prison and some of the stabbings that he exercised or administered himself.
Camp in California, I was heavily into criminal activity, and the thing is that before that I kind of was I had done drugs as a youngster, and then once I got into the skinhead subculture and I seen drugs had taken me away from, I had gotten married, I had 2 kids, and drugs had taken me away from my family and caught me my first term in prison. So after I went in, and then that's when I became a skinhead in there. I became a skinhead on the streets with these dudes I was hanging out with. And then I just, when I went in, that was it. And that's when I went in, it was when I really had time to sit down and learn more about it. Because really, these dudes didn't teach me much. They were just hey, these are the 14 words. This is basically what we're into. And these guys were kind of they weren't really hardcore, actual, they would be considered needle Nazis because they did drugs,
Needle Nazis?
Yeah. So when I really seen what it was supposed to be about, I was yeah, dude, that's what I want. I don't want to be, drugs took me away from my family. So
how did you first you caught a state bid first after you became an adult?
Right. So I caught a state bid for strong arm robbery. And what I did was I was using meth, and I went out to the coast by Guadalupe was the name of the town, out by Santa Maria and then Pismo Beach. And we robbed the Eagles Lounge. And what we did, this kid's dad used to work there, and he knew when they did the deposits, when they would have the most amount of money in there. So we went in there and we went inside. There's 2 people in there. The lady came out with this trash bag. I had a fire extinguisher, dude, and I pointed this. I had a knife on me, but I didn't pull the knife out. I had a fire extinguisher. I made her go back in the bar. We patted her down, took her phone from her, put her in the walk-in cooler, and then there was an old cowboy dude sitting at the bar. I don't know, he's probably in his early 40s, and I was telling him, "Hey, where's the keys to the safe?" And he's like, "We don't got no money, man. Y'all get out of here." And I sprayed him in the face with the fire extinguisher and yanked him off the stool by the hair of his head. It blew his cowboy hat plumb off his head. And then I dragged him into the cooler, took his phone, and then we had this big-ass crowbar, and we just busted off the locks they had these, it was like a safe, but they had padlocks on it, and it had these sliding doors. So it was homemade, and we just took the money out of there.
Right.
And we actually ended up getting busted because we had a girl that was a driver, and females, dude, are notorious for not being able to hold their
folding
mud.
Yeah.
So she ended up getting busted on some unrelated stuff, and they asked her about somebody had burglarized the Eagles Lodge in Porterville, and she was they asked her about that, and she was "Oh, I was just a driver," and she tells about the robbery out there.
Yeah.
And then we all got.
And at this point, had you committed any hate crimes? I'm thinking about targeting Latinos, beating up blacks. Had you had any of that?
I mean, I was fighting with Latinos, dude, all the time, because in the just being the Norteños, where I live at is Norteños. There's some Sureños, but there's some homies and stuff, but there's not a lot of them. And like when I started hanging out with them skinhead dudes, yeah, we'd be fighting with the Norteños all the time because there's like an active beef between them and us at that time.
Okay.
So
I see.
So yeah, I mean, we were going out targeting them and vice versa. So it's like anytime you go to the store or like see them dudes, it was on site.
Wow.
So
Wow.
yeah.
So it was basically like a constant, like a low state of war.
We're
It's like prison.
It's like prison, yeah. But it's like I lived in this little apartment complex. This is actually where I first met her, my girl out here. It was called the Shady Village, and we ran it like a little prison yard. And they were like little bitty, little like one bedroom shotgun shack type apartment type things. And there was a lot of Norteños that started moving in there. I mean, there was just like a few of us, and then we just started having conflict. At first, we were trying to keep it cool in there, but then like one night, one of these dudes came by. I had this skinhead dude down from Pittsburgh, and the dude asked him where he was from, and he said he was a skinhead. And the dude, like, it was like some gangbanging dude, like ran up on my homeboy, and he had a box cutter, and he just gutted him, right? And so the next day, these dudes come back, and they're trying to get a one. They live in this trailer park called the Big Stump, like right next to the Shady Village, and they wanted to try to get a one-on-one with my homeboy, but they were like, hey, dude, we don't want to have a whole bunch of problems over here because, you know, this is where our families and stuff live. You guys got your kids over here. We got ours and stuff. So we're trying to keep this down to a minimum, but I want you to let these two dudes get a straight up fade. But like, we're like, nah, bro, like you guys always jump us, and, you know, we're not giving, you know, your dude came over here. He was wrong. Like, he was in the wrong, bro. This is where we live and shit. Like, don't come up over into our house asking us where we're from and stuff. You guys already know we live here. But there was all kinds of different things that went on in that little apartment complex right there like that.
And it's all based around race
Yeah.
and racism from both sides.
From both sides. I mean, yeah, it's definitely both sides were like that.
So you caught this case, your first adult felony, I guess? And how much time? What did they give you?
I got 2 years, 8 months on that. So
Is
I got
this pre-strikes in California?
I got a strike for this case.
Okay,
It
so
was considered a violent felony.
Oh, so this is after 1994.
So yeah, it was definitely after. It was like early 2001, 2002, I believe.
I gotcha. Still though, not that much time, right?
Not too much, because it was my first adult offense, so they didn't really hammer me too hard.
So what was state like in California? Where'd you go?
I went to North Kern State Prison. That was our reception, Delano. And then while I was there, what happened first? Let's see. I ended up getting into it with me and my homeboy Pup ran up in this dude's cell and beat this dude up for living outside of his race. He let a Mexican dude come into the cell with him. And really, like, we try to keep our numbers up because there's not a lot of white dudes anyways. So, like, if we lose a cell, then that's 2 more Mexicans that are in the units, or 2 more blacks. Right. So we try to make sure we keep our cells. So that's why we don't let anybody else live with us. And it's just the house rules. You don't live outside of your race. And so we ran in there after chow and beat this dude up. And,
a white dude.
A white dude.
You're disciplining your own.
Yeah. We went in there, beat him up. We got sprayed with mace and stuff. And they basically.
Well, yeah, he sure ain't beating up nobody else. Yeah, he beating up a white dude. Yeah, he beating up his own people. He ain't beating up nobody else. Because he in the cell, he can go where he want to go. He got to just deal with his own people. He can't deal with anyone else. Okay, so there you have it. As I said, he started off early in the interview talking about the different, I didn't play that part, talking about the different factions of the skinheads, which faction he belongs to, how some of them are religious, the propaganda that they have. They have a lot of books that they have written, the structure that they follow, the doctrine, etc. And now he's going into the prison. And when he got to prison, and his first incident as he's alluding to now is an incident where he had to attack or go in the cell and beat up his own people because he let a Hispanic inside of the cell.
Basically just separate. They took my homeboy to the SHU, to ADSEG. They put me in another unit. And then while I'm in another unit, this dude comes in off the bus and he's sitting down on the bench. The guy next to me came off the bus too. He said, hey, that dude didn't register as a sex offender. I'm like, what? And like, so everyone's locked down. So dude's down on the benches. It's like during count time. And my cellie is the tier tender, and they pop his door. So I just run down there and blast that dude, get sprayed up. I go to the SHU, go to ADSEG, which is D6 in Delano. And I'm back there for like 6 months. They put me in for a SHU program in California. I got designated, but they didn't end up sending me to the SHU program because my MERD came much, which is like your maximum early release date. And they're like, okay, we're going to kick you back out to reception. So that's what they did. And then they sent me to CMC East, which was considered a yard, like a PC yard. It's not, per administration, it's considered GP, but as far as like good dudes, you're not supposed to be over there. So get over there. I'm there for about 10 days, and then we kick off their big riot with the Southsiders. Like there's like 60 of them and like 15 of us. And I go to the ADSEG there.
What happened? Did you get down?
Oh yeah. Oh man, that was a pretty crazy one. So it was basically like 300 or something, because there's like this softball diamond. So there's like the backstop, and it's all chain link, and there's these bleachers behind it, and then there's like a 4-foot wall right here, and just the walkway on the track. And so we were like in that little like bottleneck right there. So we were able to keep these dudes from getting around us and like really giving us the business, because we were outnumbered. And in California, dudes, at this time, I wasn't really like one of those dudes that was running around with a banger all the time. I'm just like fresh into this like adult type stuff. So, but I had a tomahawk, which is like a razor blades melted into a handle. And my homeboy had this dude in the headlock, and I just was like, look out, bro. And I just whacked dude on the head. Yeah. And then I was like, through the razor blade, and we're fighting. I ended up getting a compound, like a boxer's fracture, broke my 5th metacarpal. And so they finally come out. They use all their mace on us. They go to their side handle batons, start beating us.
Broke his 5th metacarpal. What the hell? What is that? What'd you break, man? Just say you broke your hand or your knuckle. Broke my 5th metacarpal. All right, man. So, okay, so he didn't got his weapon. First they beat someone else, or they beat someone up. Now he's running inside of a cell, and now he's stabbing someone up. Or actually, he ran inside of the cell, beat someone up for going inside of the cell with a Hispanic. Now they had a riot. He said in CMC, which is, again, as he alluded to, not a PC yard, but it's not a good yard. It's not a yard you're supposed to be on. So I don't understand how the people there, they had a riot there. The individuals there had a riot at CMC. And they stabbing each other and all that, 60 to 15 at CMC. I guess so, but yeah, if he's at CMC and he's a skinhead shot caller, he's going to have to get up out of CMC. You got to leave there. It's no good like that.
All down with the batons. Then they finally get control of the riot. Then we jump up again and start going again.
Before they cuff you?
Before they can cuff us. But they didn't have enough cuffs, so they're out there like trying to zip tie fools, and then we jump up again because there was like a couple of Serenos right there in our area. So like we was like, we're gonna get these dudes again. Let's go. And then we jumped up again and did it.
And I imagine those guards are nothing nice when they have the batons out.
So you're going to be talking about like your whole lower back. Like they're supposed to hit you in the legs with them, dude, but they'll blast you in the back or wherever to break your arm, break your leg, whatever.
Right.
You'll have like big old black bruises all over you for weeks.
Yeah, I would do it to you too. 100 of you guys, I'd probably try to break your back.
Yeah, dude, I mean, it's excessive force, really, like the way that they do that, but they had to get control of the situation, I guess. But they came out there after the goon squad ended up coming out on the yard. Usually that doesn't happen, but they come out with those block guns and start shooting dudes, and they gain control of the situation. But yeah, it took them a while to get us down, and then we jumped back up, and so it was a pretty big riot.
Okay, so you earned your stripes pretty quickly.
Yeah.
Like you weren't afraid to.
I was putting in work right from the rip, dude. What's crazy is like everyone's like, hey, you get asked to put in work. I've never been asked to put in work. I've always took initiative. Nobody's ever told me, hey, Bumper, you got to go do this.
Right.
I just went, I'm like, what's up? I got this one.
Well, because it seems like most people in those situations kind of just, they're like, all right, it's my turn. I got to go, run this dude off the yard. I got to do it. But it seemed like you were driven by this ideology as much as it was like survival. Is that accurate?
Right. So when you're a skinhead, like part of a disruptive group is like what they classify us as. Like we're like frontline soldiers, dude, for our race. So when anything like that happens and it's a racial issue, we're gonna go as hard as possible.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, that's wild. So I assume you maxed out.
Yeah, I did the whole bid, 2 years, 8 months on it. Yeah.
And you got clean in there.
I got clean. Yeah.
You were reading. You were kind of solidifying what this racism or this racist ideology. And you come home. How long are you out? Did you got a job? Did you?
No, I didn't. So when I got out, I didn't get a job, bro. I just hit the ground running, bro. I tried, but the unemployment rate's pretty high in Tulare County, so jobs were scarce, and that was another thing that just
there's nothing out there, man.
Multiplied or made me feel like these people were stealing my jobs.
Right.
I couldn't find a job, and being a felon, it was just difficult. And so I maybe had like a few odd and end jobs, but I was a tattoo artist, so I just had my equipment and I would tattoo on the side, and that's how I got by. And
when he say that's what made me feel even more like these people were stealing my jobs, because he couldn't get a job when he got out of prison. He's saying he's referring to Mexicans, because he said earlier in the interview, he was asked by the interviewer, again, this is The Connect, and he was asked, well, how come the whites or the skinheads, what have you, are racist against the immigrants, against the Hispanics? And he went on to say, because the belief is that they bring crime over here and that they're taking jobs. They bring the value of where they live down, and essentially they're taking jobs. So that's what he's referring to when he says, and this is why I feel like, they're taking my job. Wow. They bring violence over here. No. You people have been violent, the most violent people on the face of the earth in the history of the earth. You're the most violent people in the history of the earth. Violence has been in America. The immigrants didn't bring violence over here. You brought violence over here. The nerve of these people.
And mostly it was a lot of drinking and partying and doing the whole skinhead thing.
Today's episode is brought to you by Hims. You guys, I don't even need the ad read. I'm going off script here because
like skinhead movement, like the people that are in the white power movement, and compared to those dudes that are doing that are not accepted. Mm-hmm. They're like those guys make us look bad as far as
right.
doing the things that they do. So we look at them like they're trash too.
Right. Okay. So how do you grow, or what kind of movement do you join that's maybe different than the one that you originally were brought into as a teenager in terms of like the white power movement?
So what I did was I started my own crew. Like the ones that were in Tulare County weren't like on the type, they were doing drugs, they were doing all this. And I was like, listen, dude, I was trying to find guys that were wanted to be on the same type of time I was. And so I founded a crew with a couple other dudes called Smash Team 88. And I actually did pretty good with that. And we started going to shows and stuff in California, like thrown by like the big skinhead crews in Cali. And
like rock shows?
Yeah, like, well, you know, like bands like Blue Eyed Devils and Max Resist and White Knuckle Driver, Storm Troop 16. We go into these different shows and like meeting these other
At least
like
you
actives,
know.
like
Group called Blue Eyed Devil. Yeah, I'd say. All right, that's enough, man. If y'all want me to play some more, y'all let me know in the comments. I'll get into this. I'll get into this whole white supremacy thing. I'll react to the whole interview. That's what I have a good mind to do. But maybe y'all don't want to hear that. I don't know. I want to react to this whole, because from start to finish, so that you'll understand some of the things that he's saying now. What he just said about his jobs being taken and this and that. But again, I didn't get up to this point. So I don't know how long or what else he has to say. The interview goes on and on. This is only 38 minutes into over a 2-hour interview. So I don't know what else he has to say. Clearly, apparently, a whole lot. But you probably have to hear it and see it from the beginning so that you will understand some of what he's talking about now. But again, he was just talking about being a white supremacist, a skinhead, and a shot caller. And as you heard him say, he put in work from day one. No one ever had to tell him to put in work. He just did so. And that when he got out of prison, he could not necessarily get a job because the immigrants were taking their jobs. But again, he is not denouncing white supremacy or racism or, he's not a former member or any of this, like you'll hear individuals from the black culture talking about. He's still steadfast and standing strong on his beliefs. He's just having an interview here, but he is still a skinhead. So that's fine. It is what it is. But again, let me know. I'll react to the whole video if necessary. But there you have it. I believe he said that his name was Bumper. And he did time. He's out now. And he's espousing his position in the skinhead's position. And he's also talking again about his childhood and how it came to be, how he became a skinhead. And not just one, because again, early on, he breaks down the difference, the different sections, the different factions. And some are much more extreme and violent and racist than others. Of course, those would be the far right extremists on the far right. He said that is the group that he is a part of, that he wanted to be totally engulfed in this. He didn't want to half-step it, essentially. If he was going to get involved, he was going to go all the way and be a total racist, a total extremist. And he is, and admittedly so, and apparently he still continues to wear it proudly. Whatever. Power to my people, though. Stay safe and stay free, people.